Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of All Around Hockey, the new YouTube channel dedicated to the all around hockey fan. So, in today's episode, we have a few news and rumors going around here today. Some rumors that linked to a possible bigger trade with Minnesota, other than Dylan Larkin, could they be shooting for a bigger number one center? Offer sheets, what's going on there? Who's going to get offered next? What's going to happen after Leo Carlson? And how does Anaheim feel about that whole situation going around and a possible Shane Wright trade happening this summer, or it's looking more likely that a Shane Wright trade is going to happen this summer? Where do we think he might end up, and who do you think they might go after? So today's first bit of news that I saw on Twitter from The Athletic, Michael Russo has linked the Minnesota Wild to a possible Jack Hughes trade. Now, who knows how likely this would be? It did seem more and more like in the from what I saw, that they know that Dylan Larkin's the main asset that's available. But the thing was, Bill Guerin's chance to shoot a shot at possibly bringing in Jack Hughes, Quinn's younger brother, into Minnesota. A lot of people have had Quinn linked to New Jersey for many years to go play with Quinn, or not play with Quinn, but Jack and Luke there in New Jersey. Um, Obviously, they had a chance to get that done at the trade deadline and weren't able to get it done. Minnesota was. So is now Bill Guerin taking his shot at possibly bringing in a Jack Hughes to come in and take over that number one C spot with Minnesota. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but it seemed interesting to me just because the one main asset that New Jersey is lacking now that they traded Jacob Marsham to Florida is a goaltender. And Minnesota's got two pretty solid young goaltenders. They have Philip Gustafson and they have 23-year-old Jesper Wallstedt, who just coming off his rookie season, going into his new rookie season, I think even this year, because I don't think he played enough games, but he played in the playoffs there in the Minnesota Wild. Is that a possibility of Jesper Wallstedt possibly getting moved to New Jersey for Jack Hughes? Now, if you're New Jersey, are you even thinking about trading a Jack Hughes? And if you're Minnesota, you know, is Jesper Wallstedt something you're willing to give up possibly in a Jack Hughes trade? Again, just spitballing this out here. I doubt it probably happens, but I thought it was an interesting story, so I put it on here anyways. So we'll see what happens. You know, they were unwilling to move. Some Minnesota fans are unwilling to move Matthew Boldy for Dylan Larkin. Understandable. Matthew Boldy is a top six forward, bona fide top six forward. But are you absolutely willing to move that for possible Jack Hughes to come into Minnesota and play with his brother Quinn? Who knows what's going to happen? The NHL's getting a little crazy these days. So we'll see what happens there. It does seem more and more likely that Dylan Larkin is obviously the main point that they are going after. But I think Bill Guerin's shooting a shot at Jack just to see if New Jersey was even interested. Who knows if they are or not. Next bit of news, offer sheets. Offer sheets are going around left and right here, or possibly going to start to go around left and right here in the National Hockey League. Did Leo Carlson open up a floodgate of offer sheets that are about to come in the National Hockey League? We'll see. Obviously, just a couple days ago, he was offered a 5 times $18 million contract. I went over that in our first video. If you haven't checked it out, go check that out now, and come back here and I'll go a little bit more into the offer sheets and what's going on. But with Leo Carlson being offered 5 times $18 million, there's a possibility that there's more offer sheets to come, and that GMs might be getting a little bit more bolder with offer sheets, and possibility of offering these crazy contracts. One name that's been linked out to a possible offer sheet is Leo Carlson's teammate Pavel Mintyukov. He's a big defenseman there, and good two-way skills. Got a more solid defenseman, I feel like, but also he's got a good reach, big sized, big bulky, top four defenseman that can fit into any lineup, really. So there's a few teams that have called his agent to possibly gauge the interest on a possible offer sheet there. So we'll see if Pavel Mintyukov is the next in line to get offer sheeted. But the big name that a lot of teams and a lot of people are wondering is Connor Bedard. Now, obviously, a couple of days ago, it came out that he wanted Kirill Kaprizov's AAV around $17 million. Now, if Leo Carlson getting offered $18 million, does that change things? Is Connor Bedard now possibly going to be shooting for $20 million on a possible AAV contract? And what teams have that type of cap space to maybe make that offer? Who knows? Maybe some teams might be like Pittsburgh possibly could be linked to it. There could be some other teams with some bare cap space that want to take a shot at bringing in Connor Bedard. Um, and does Chicago even let him go? That's another question. Kyle Davidson, um, he made the trade a couple of days ago for Bowen Byram. I'm pretty sure he wants to go for it, so I don't think they're gonna let Connor Bedard walk very easily. He's obviously the face of their franchise, somebody they're willing to grow around, and they're not that far off from competing. I think Chicago's getting a little closer than most people would like to admit, but that's a possibility of Connor Bedard offer sheet coming around the corner. We'll see what happens. Obviously he just hurt his shoulder recently, so we hope he gets a speedy recovery from that injury, and he'll be ready for opening day. But who knows what things going on there. Another bit of news going around right now is Shane Wright, and he's possibly getting traded out of Seattle. That's the big rumor going around that his agent and Jason Botterill talked, and they kind of both sides, I think, agreed to the fact that maybe it's time for Shane Wright to be moved out of Seattle. He had 12 goals and 27 points last season for the Kraken, former 4th overall pick in the 2022 draft. So he might just need to change his scenery at this point. Where that may be, who knows? Some teams, I feel like a good rebuilding team who needs a good center could use him. And yes, I'm talking about my team, the Detroit Red Wings, behind me. As a possibility of that happening. Who knows if that's even possible, or if Seattle will be interested in any assets that the Detroit Red Wings would be willing to trade. Calgary Flames may be another team that I could look at. I'm just spitballing teams. I have no idea who's linked to them right now or what's going on there, but it does seem more and more likely that a Shane Wright trade is going to happen this summer, and he will be on a different team starting next season. The last bit of news that I saw today was Leo Carlsson's contract. Like I said, we went over that recently, but it kind of seems like Anaheim might be a little bit peeved with him accepting such a high annual value, knowing that guys like Cutter Gauthier is coming around, Pavel Mintyukov needs a contract, and Beck Ketsenecki is going to be needing a big contract extension here soon too. So they're starting to wonder if Leo Carlsson, Frank Serverly kind of point out, with him accepting such a high AV, did Leo Carlsson want to stay in Anaheim to begin with? That's something you can definitely be asking yourself if you're Pat Verbeek and their team. I think that last year they were looking at possibility of bringing him in as an 8 times $10 million contract. It wasn't signed. It's 8 years times $10 million. It wasn't signed. And, now that he's accepted 5 times 18, they seem like he might want to just leave Anaheim in general. He was offered by 5 other teams, from what we heard, and he ended up taking the Philadelphia Flyers offer at 5 times 18. Obviously, Anaheim still has a few days to possibly match it. You got to think that Leo kind of put him in a little bit of a bind there, with that whole situation, going around. 5 times $18 million is a lot to commit to your number one center, but it's Leo Carlsson. You just made the playoffs, you made the second round, and you gave Vegas a pretty good shot. Pretty good run for their money. So do you want to lose Leo Carlsson? Or another thing that has been talked about is they're going to use those 4 first-round draft picks that they would get Leo Carlsson to flip for another asset, which might not be a bad idea. You could probably bring in another good first-line center talent with those picks, and just move on from Leo Carlsson in general and accept and have a lot more cap space with somebody who's going to be a pretty productive center still. So that's a lot of the news and rumors going around the National Hockey League right now. Again, this is All Around Hockey, the new YouTube channel dedicated to the All Around Hockey fan. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please like, comment, and subscribe. Do you think a Jack Hughes trade is possible at all in this summer? Do you guys feel like Connor Bedard is going to possibly get a $20 million contract? Where do you guys feel like Shane Wright's going? And if you were Pat Verbeek, were you be a little bit upset that Leo Carlsson took a 5 times $18 million contract? We'll love to hear from you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and look forward to talking to you guys in the next video. So talk to you later. Bye.